After writing 2 transformational books myself and supporting many other beings to do the same, I've become enthralled by the deep and mysterious magic that's activated when we choose to say yes to ourselves and commit to the book writing journey. Of course, we want to inspire change and new perspectives in our readers, but the transformation that happens as an author, both throughout the writing process and by actually releasing your book into the world, is surprisingly potent. I know I've been blindsided in the most disruptive and delicious ways by some of the changes my books have brought into my life. Writing a book is like casting a spell. Although we can never be completely sure what's going to be unleashed during the process, we choose to do it anyway. This Unbound one is a heroic journey. Each book has the potential to be a magical portal, a doorway to a new world, both for you and your reader. Each book has a very specific medicine that it's here to share with us. And each book gives us the opportunity to alchemize the magnificent imperfection of our experience into gold. The truth is that anyone can write a book. We could all get a few thousand words down and put them together. But what fascinates me is what happens when we allow the book writing process to go deeper. When we say, fuck it, get naked and dive way down beneath the surface. Letting go of the shoulds and any need to be acceptable, sensible, or approved of. What fascinates me is what happens when we make ourselves fully available to being transformed by the very act of writing a book. This is Unbound Writing, and this is the process we'll be exploring together here in the Unbound Writers Club. I'm Nicola, author and founder of the Unbound Press, and I help magical beings to write the transformational book they're really here to write at this time. I'm your guide here in the Unbound Writers Club, and the aim of this podcast is to help you to feel supported, encouraged, activated as you embark on your book writing journey. Whether you're a first-time author or have many books out in the world, my hope is that you will find something here to inspire you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club, the third in this series where we are talking about the different stages of writing your book and what to focus on at those different stages. And this week I'm talking all about the completion stage of your book. So how to bring everything together so that you actually get to birth your book into the world. So over the past couple of weeks, first of all, we were talking about the beginning stages, like how to gain that clarity so that you can get into momentum with your book. Then we talked about the middle stages of the book writing journey, how that can feel like the messy middle, and the most important things to focus on at that stage. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about 3 different areas for you to focus on that are going to help you to actually complete your book, get to the point of completion, because that is what we are wanting, isn't it? We don't want your book just to remain in your thoughts or in your notebook or in some Word doc on your laptop or a number of Word docs. We want to bring it together, get it into form, and make sure it gets out into the world, into the hands of the people who are wanting to read it, who are needing to read it. So everything I'm talking about in this episode, and also the previous 2 episodes about these different stages of writing your book and what to focus on, forms the core content for my new program, Birth Your Transformational Book. So everything that I'm sharing in this series, we are diving deeper into it in Birth Your Transformational Book. So if you were really feeling called to commit to your book writing journey this year, and, with the intention of certainly having your book out in the world within 12 months, then I would really invite you to check that out. I would love for you to join us in that process. Anyway, let's dive in to today's episode. And the first point when it comes to these final stages of writing your book is getting to the place where you have a first draft of your manuscript. So what this means is really having a coherent manuscript where you are like in the last episode, we talked about the reader journey. So where you have this piece of writing that is taking your reader on that journey that you want to take them on. So forming your book into these different stages where it is meeting your intention, it's doing what you set out to do. And, you can obviously move into the editing stage at this point, but before you even get to that stage of editing, it's like, okay, does this do the job? And you will make tweaks and changes from this point forward. But it's like, how can I actually bring these different pieces together to form a coherent first draft of my book? It may be that you go through, when you have your first draft, make lots of changes. There's this idea of the shitty first draft, which, you can allow it to be as rough as you would like it to be. But what you're looking for here, like I say, is a piece of writing, pieces of writing that you're bringing together that actually do what you set out to do. Take your reader on the journey that you set out to take them on. And when you are bringing together your first draft of the manuscript, as well as the core of your book, you also want to be thinking about stages or pieces like the foreword. Do you want to have a foreword? Do you want to invite somebody else to write a foreword for your book, which people often do? You certainly don't have to. Have you got an introduction or a prologue that you want to include? You may well have written some kind of introduction already, but do you want to flesh that out a bit? Is there anything else that you want to include at the beginning of your book? Sometimes I've written like a letter to my reader, or given them some like guidelines or invitations around how to experience the book. So thinking about things like that. Do you want to include acknowledgements in your book? You can start thinking about that, what your acknowledgements might be, who you want to share your gratitude with. You can think about whether you want something like a recommended resources section at the end of your book, or a reading list perhaps. What are the next steps for your reader when they come to the end of your book? Like, is there a particular offering that you have that you want to invite them into? What I recommend actually when it comes to next steps is sometimes you might be very clear on what that next step is that you want to invite your reader into. Maybe you have a particular course or a membership, some kind of offering that you want to invite them over into that space. But that may change and shift over time, and your book will have a long lifetime. So what I recommend is having an invitation, having a page on your website that is dedicated to your book and next steps around your book. So you can share the link to that particular page on your website, and on that page you can make a fuller invitation to whatever is next. Because right now it may be a particular course that you have, it may be a particular membership. In a year's time it might be something different. So if you have just a page on your website that you direct people to, and from that page, you can let them know about whatever offering is most relevant to the book at this time. And also, do you want to have some kind of afterword, like final words, a final piece for your reader before they finish the book? So it's bringing the first draft together, obviously the core of your book, but starting to think about these other pieces, which actually brings your book to life in a way. Like, this is what, it can be really exciting to think about, would I like someone to write a foreword for my book? And if I was going to do that, who would I invite? Because this is the stage when you want to be reaching out to people, if you haven't done it already, and ask if they would be willing to write a foreword for your book. And, again, there are different ways you can do that. You might want to share a draft of the book with them, pre-edit. You might just want to give them a taste of the book, but just getting an idea of whether they would be happy to write the foreword for you. So that's the first thing to focus on, really starting to bring it together, the first draft of your manuscript. Know that you get to go on from that point and, make edits, make changes. Hopefully you will have somebody supporting you with the editing process as well. I would certainly recommend, at least you have somebody helping you with a proofread of your book rather than doing it yourself, because we get so blind to our words. But another idea that you might have, and this is the second thing, which it can be really helpful to focus on when it comes to bringing it together, is actually sharing your manuscript with beta readers. So preview readers of your book, like test readers of your book, whatever you want to call them, inviting people to read through what you have with the intention of offering feedback and how they experience it. So this can feel super scary. Actually, I'm pretty sure it will feel scary. I've never not experienced a kind of terror the first time I've handed a manuscript over to somebody, whoever that is, whether it was my publisher when I was working with my publisher for Unbound, whether it is somebody who I'm asking to read it to get a review, whether it is an editor that I'm working with. Like, I've always just felt terrified because it's like, oh my goodness, I've spent all this time with this book, and are people actually going to get it? Are people actually going to like it? So please know that terror is completely normal. But actually, you're writing a book, so you do want it to be read by people, even though a part of you may resist that greatly. So it can be really, really powerful before you actually kind of come to the finished, completed version of your book, to share it with some trusted people. So maybe those are people in your community, in your audience. Maybe they are clients or friends or colleagues, whoever feels good to you. Inviting probably quite a small group of people, I would say, to read through what you have and let you know how they find it. So you may have specific feedback that you're looking for. In that case, you can ask like specific questions, specific things for them to look out for. Or you may just want a general sense of how it lands with them, anything that feels confusing, anything that they would like more of, anything they would like less of. This is something that I do for most of our authors at the Unbound Press. When they have like a first draft of their manuscript, I very much read through it as a reader. So I'm not in editing mode. I'm very much like looking at, how the book lands for me, like how I feel as I read it. If there's anything that I'm not sure about, if there's any questions that bubble up for me, again, if there's anything that I would like to see more of or hear more about. And that's the kind of thing you can ask your beta readers for. Now, you can do this before you get to this like finishing stage of writing your book. I have worked with authors where they have shared like chapters with a small group of beta readers as they've been, going through the process of writing their book. But certainly, which is a really powerful way to do it as well. But certainly when you get to these end stages, even if it's just kind of 2 or 3 people that you share the book with, just to get other people's eyes on it. And, because sometimes we have a lot of the time we have blind spots with our own writing. So that can be a really powerful thing to do. And as well as getting feedback, which you can either incorporate or not, like it's your book. You don't have to act on any feedback at all, but it can be helpful to get a sense of how other people are experiencing the book. But also at this stage, you can be asking for endorsements and reviews for your book as well, which can be from the beta readers. And maybe, when you actually have a more complete version of your manuscript, you can start sending it out to people and asking them if they would be willing to write an endorsement or a review. I can't get my words out today, which could actually go into the book. At the front of the book, sometimes you'll have like a number of endorsements, reviews, testimonials from different people. at the beginning or on the front cover or on the back cover. So that's the kind of thing you want to be thinking about at this stage as well. So getting your first draft of your manuscript together with the different sections of your book, inviting some beta readers to read it. And the third thing to be thinking about is, how are you actually going to publish your book? How are you actually going to birth your book into the world? Now, you've probably thought about this. You probably have an idea about it already. Like maybe, okay, I'm going to self-publish and I'll deal with that when I get kind of towards the end of writing. And now it's actually happening. So it's thinking about, okay, well, what do I actually need to do here? Or maybe you have the intention of actually bringing the manuscript together, getting it to a point of completion, and then sending it out to agents because you are looking for a traditional publishing deal. Or maybe you want to go down the hybrid route with someone like the Unbound Press, where, you get that support with the publishing journey, like every step of the way. You also have the flexibility and the freedom of self-publishing as well. If you haven't made a final decision, like this is when you want to be actually getting clear on how am I going to get this thing out there? And if you are going down the self-publishing route, this is when you will want to start thinking about, okay, like who is the editor that I want to work with? How can I find the best editor? Who is the designer that I want to work with for my book cover and also the interior of the book, which is just as, if not more important often than I would say than the cover. Who can you get to support you? Because I wouldn't recommend, unless you have experience, well, I certainly wouldn't recommend that you kind of edit your own book. It could be perfectly possible that you design, you do the design for your own book if you're skilled in that area, but you definitely want someone to support you with the editing, proofreading, because like I said, we just get so blind to our own words. And this is something that we are covering in Birth Your Transformational Book. Actually, everyone who joins that program will get access to a panel of experts that we use both at the Unbound Press and that are connected with the Unbound Writing family, who can support you if you choose to go down the self-publishing route. So, I really wanted to make sure that, we look after our authors at the Unbound Press very well with the team that we have. But also, if you're choosing to self-publish, then I want to make sure you get access to some trusted people who can support you on the journey. So thinking about how you're going to birth your book and what is the support you need in order to do that, because it's really important for you and also for your book. Like right at the beginning, a couple of episodes ago at the beginning of this series, I was talking about connecting with the energy, the essence of your book. And your book wants to know how it's going to be making its way into the world. The energy is going to shift around it once you've made that decision, once you've put things in place. So those are the three things to be focusing on when you get to this bringing it all together, completion stage of your book, the first draft of your manuscript, getting to a point where it's yes, okay, this does the job that I wanted my book to do. And you get to refine it, but, bringing it together and also starting to think about the different pieces, the different sections of your book, as well as the core content, like the foreword, acknowledgements, recommended resources, all of those things. Second thing to focus on is beta readers, inviting other people to read your book. And the third point is publishing, thinking about actually how you want to birth your book into the world and looking at different options there. Okay, I hope you have found that helpful. I hope you found this whole series helpful. We've kind of skimmed through it a little bit because there is so much to dive into with each of these pieces to focus on. And also, there's so much more around each of these stages as well. But I wanted to give you an overview so that when you're moving through the process, you can be like, okay, I'm at this stage, or it feels like I'm at this stage. What do I need to focus on? So you can come back to these episodes and, it provides a kind of map for you. And like I said, if you ever want to dive deeper, if you want to have space held for you, if you want to be writing and birthing your book whilst being held by the most supportive creative community that I know, then I would love for you to join us in Birth Your Transformational Book. It's open on a rolling basis, so you can join us at any time. And to check out the details of that, you can go to unboundwriting.co/birth your transformational book. I don't know why it always makes me laugh saying hyphen in between the words. Anyway, like I say, I hope you found that helpful. I'm always really happy to hear from you. On Instagram is my main place on socials that I hang out. I'm at Nicola Humber. Very, very happy to receive DMs, any questions, any comments. Yeah, it'd be great to connect with you. All right, my love, I am going to go, and I will be back again with you soon for another episode of the Unbound Writers Club. What do you do when you want to write a book, but the usual approaches are leaving you feeling restricted, pressurized, not at all enough, and pretty dry, to be honest? You find another way, of course. And if you are listening to this, my free unconventional book writing guide is going to be perfect for you. It's designed especially for soul-led coaches, healers, and mentors who want to write a transformational book without spending hours on end chained to a desk. In it, I'm giving you my unique spin on the top 10 questions I hear from would-be authors, and it's going to help you liberate the way you write forever. Download your free copy of the guide now over at nicolahumber.com/10, the number 10, 10 hyphen questions.